Welcome into another CHGO Bears Podcast presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, America's top-rated sportsbook. Download the app and use promo code CHGO when you sign up. What's up, Bears fans? We're back. Well, at least half of us are back. We had our big free agency special.
60% I'm here.
Earlier. That's a great point.
True.
I was referring to what's on camera, but yes, Lawrence is still here going strong. The two people that apparently got each other sick are gone, Mark Carman and Greg Bragg.
Convenient.
Anyway, Hoge, Nicholas Moreano, a couple big signings. Well, one big signing, another significant signing, and we want to jump right back on here and break it down for you. Tremaine Edmunds. Nick, I love this move. I am a huge fan of Tremaine Edmunds. I've been a fan of his since he came out, and he still turns 25 in May. He's already been in the league 5 years. Big linebacker.
Athletic, super athletic. It's a guy when back in 2018 when the Bears were, it was Roquan Smith, obviously the guy that drafted, but you can go back and check the tape and go back to the previous episodes. I wanted Tremaine Edmonds to be on the Bears, but now he is just a couple years later, but still a super young player, and I think there's a lot of potential for what he can do in Matt Eberflus's defense, Alan Williams' defense, and maybe, honestly, Adam, maybe just a better fit instead of a Roquan Smith, who obviously with the Ravens now.
Yeah, so, there's a couple different angles we got to discuss here. One also is the context of the Bears also signing TJ Edwards today. So two linebacker signings, which you didn't necessarily put at the top of the wish list, but still we knew that this will linebacker spot is one of the key positions in Matt Eberflus's defenses. I'm fascinated to see how they sort this out. My gut right now, with no inside information at this point, hopefully we'll get more, is that you're looking at Edmonds playing the will with Edwards at the, that's kind of Edwards and Edmonds.
Edwards, yeah.
I just realized that. So TJ Edwards at the Mike, Edmonds at the will, and Sanborn at the Sam is my guess. But the thing about Tremaine Edmonds is he has that big, huge. I was just looking at some video of him. Obviously, I've seen a lot of him playing, but this was like sideline video because he was mic'd up, and he's standing next to his teammates. He's huge.
He's towering over him.
So
it's 6'5", 250.
I've already seen a couple Urlacher comps on Twitter, which is a little extreme, but that was actually one of the comps on him coming out of Virginia Tech because he is one of these bigger 6'5" linebackers, probably a little shade under 6'5", but so do you want that guy in the middle? I don't know.
That's the question the Bears have to, I think, figure out, because the guys, they had Jack Sanborn, who was playing the Mike last year for the Bears. You'd sign TJ Edwards, who was playing Mike for the Eagles, and you also have Tremaine Edmonds, who was also playing Mike for the Buffalo Bills. And now it's fascinating, like you said, who is actually going to be in that position, who's going to play the all-important will linebacker, and then it kind of looks like Jack Sanborn goes and plays the Sam at this point. But, yeah, they have three young, productive linebackers now in the center of this Bears defense.
All right, real quick, I'm jumping in. Simply Basic says this is the at linebacker now because we got Edmonds and Edwards.
I like it.
Yeah.
And then
also, you know what I just love about what the Bears are doing right now?
Helping me out with my bit.
They're getting football players.
Yeah. Productive young players.
I know that sounds simple.
I mean, Carm wanted him to sign Pat Beverly, but obviously they're
you don't want to go to basketball. No, but in all seriousness, like the two guys they signed today, but they're now pairing with Jack Sanborn, who already proved last year, like can rely on instincts. All three of these guys find the football, have good instincts for getting there. I'm not necessarily sure you would call Tremaine Edmonds a perfect linebacker, but I could see how they're looking at his speed and be like, if we put him at the will in this defense, he's got that sideline-to-sideline speed with Edwards, who's so good in coverage at the same time. Both of these guys are pretty good in coverage.
Yeah, exactly.
To me, you start putting the pieces together like that and look across the board. Their age, TJ Edwards is 26, right?
26. And then
Edmonds turns 25 in May. Sanborn still in his second year. So you got three young players, and you're not committing ridiculous money. So obviously this question's already come up. Well, why would you not just re-sign Roquan Smith? Well, you're getting two linebackers plus a second-round pick for the price of Roquan Smith.
Yeah, like the Marcus Mosher from PFF had a really good tweet. He said TJ Edwards plus Tremaine Edmonds plus a second-round pick equals $24.5 million a year, or Roquan Smith for $20 million a year. Like, you're not only getting another draft assets in the future, but 2 young, productive players to fill important positions for this defense. The only question I have now, in addition to who's going to actually be playing what position, is who they're going to add up front, because these linebackers can be productive, but they also need some defensive linemen to keep, these linebackers clean at the second level. So that's maybe like the next thing to look into for Ryan Poles, as he's still looking to upgrade his football team and really orienting some of the, bigger contracts, even though these are pretty affordable, to the linebacker position. But you still got to bolster that defensive line to keep these guys clean.
Because quite frankly, it doesn't matter how good your linebackers are, because if you don't have the defensive linemen, it's not going to help. So the Bears still have a lot of work to do, no question. But we got a super chat here from Michael Wagner, $5. Bummed how down on the move the guys like Nate Tice are on the Edmonds signing. Hope he brings it for the Bears.
Your guy Nate Tice?
Uh-oh.
I didn't even see what Nate said.
Nate
Come
say?
on, Nate.
Let's see. I'm going to look up Nate Tice.
I'm going to have to call him right now and yell at him. I'll do it for you.
How about
Michael,
we bring him on?
that?
Should we bring him on?
I was trying to look. We talked to
Get him the link. Get him in here. Let's go.
We talked to a lot of people last week, and I couldn't remember if it was Nate or if it was Brad on our show, but one of them was against Tremaine Edmonds. Maybe it was Nate.
Oh. I'm scrolling through the Nate's Twitter right now, and I'm not.
Maybe Michael's pulling a Brags. He got duped by
I don't see anything.
Tate Nice. Maybe it was Tate Nice.
Maybe he said it on a podcast. Who knows? But I'm not seeing anything on the Twitter world right now.
Oh, they're doing a live show on YouTube.
Oh, okay.
Interesting.
So don't go there yet. You have to stay here with us.
Yeah, stay here.
See, because we like the Tremaine Edmonds sign.
Yeah. Speaking of
Stay
likes.
with us.
Speaking of likes.
No, that's interesting.
It also seems like DJ Moore, he's tweeting about Tremaine Edmonds right now, saying that he's all for it. Also, Jaquan Brisker. So it looks like some current Bears players are in favor of what Ryan Poles is doing, bringing in, again, players that the Bears desperately needed. Let's see what we got.
I just like guys that when you watch the game, it's like sometimes it can't actually be that simple. Like you watch the games, and you're like, oh, that guy's all over the field making plays.
You should get one of those guys.
I want that player. And like to me, that's what Tremaine Edmonds is. He's somebody that when you watch the Bills, you're like, that is a giant linebacker who's all over the field. He's not afraid of contact. He's always around the football. What does that sound like to you? Sounds like a hits principle guy, right?
Yeah.
Sounds like somebody who fits this Bears defense. So I think it's a perfect fit. You got DJ Moore calling him my guy already. And I think that sideline to sideline speed, his ability to cover, they send him on blitzes, like he can do everything, and that's probably why you liked him so much coming out of college, Nick, because that was the scouting report on him. He was a versatile linebacker who you almost weren't sure where to play him. So I understand why those Urlacher comps are out there.
Yeah, and only 24 years old at the moment. Like there's still so much for him to learn. And Eberflus being a former linebackers coach when he was with Dallas, I'm sure he's just looking at this sign like, all right, we have an athletic sideline to sideline, big physical dude. Let's see how we can put him in the best position possible to make plenty of plays along this defense and just getting our football team in a better situation. But, yeah, like it's not just his physical ability that he has. That coverage ability is there. If you look, however you look at PFF, he finished with a coverage grade of 88.1. That's one of the better coverage grades you're going to find of any linebacker in the league. So you have a versatile guy, and for linebackers these days, like you need to be able to do a little bit of everything. You can't just be a downhill guy. You need to be able to move in space, and Tremaine Edmonds can definitely do that.
All right, let's talk about the other signing the Bears made here in the last.
Let's do that based on this super chat from Luke Urbach, who says, how do you feel about Nate Davis, 3 years, $30 million? Thank you, Luke.
Yeah, so I was waiting on the money on this one. But this signing's, my first reaction, and you saw it on Twitter, was interesting. Because the thing about Nate Davis is he's what I would call a very solid starting guard, maybe above average. If I graded out his film over the course of his career so far like I do with the Bears players, my guess is he would end up on the high end of starter, but not long-term starter. So that kind of puts him in that fuzzy area of, is he worth, this much money? Obviously the Bears feel like he is, but all of his snaps in the NFL, according to PFF, I looked at, because I immediately went and looked this up, every single one of his snaps his entire career, according to PFF, is at right guard. So that's interesting to me for a couple reasons. Because one, it either casts some doubt about Tevin Jenkins again, who is your right guard, and to me, I thought solidified at right guard. However, I could see how the team's a little bit iffy about his back and the injuries. But this isn't like insurance policy for that much money. This is like no, we're signing him to play. So are they going to move him to left guard? In which case, does that mean Cody Whitehair is on his way out, which would save you money against the cap? And at his age, that wouldn't necessarily surprise me. At this point, I could certainly see how the Bears look at Nate Davis as a small upgrade to Cody Whitehair, or at least the same caliber player, and he's younger. So from a business standpoint, I totally would understand that. Some people are also wondering, well, could Whitehair go back to center? I feel like the Bears have been down that road so many times. Or do they look at Jenkins? Are they going to give him another chance at right tackle?
There's a lot of options there, Adam. And I mean, like you said, the money puts him in a position where you do expect him to play. He's going to start on this line. But where is that? Because like you said, going back to 2019 when he was drafted, every snap's been at right guard. And I thought Tevin Jenkins did a good job at that position, even though it was his first year transitioning over there. And he was drafted out of Oklahoma State, Jenkins, to play right tackle. It hasn't worked. I don't know if the Bears go back to explore that. Again, there's definitely some questions that need to be answered. But you're seeing now Ryan Poles upgrading the offensive line, which everyone wanted to see. You need to have Justin Fields feeling a lot more comfortable this season than he has in years past. So now it's up to Ryan Poles, Chris Morgan, the offensive line coach, to kind of figure out what's going to be the best five maybe in terms of putting guys out there that are going to best protect Fields and also be able to, still produce in the run game. Because Nate Davis, just kind of looking quickly at him when he got signed, better run blocker since he got into the league than he is a pass blocker. So maybe that's also into consideration what position he might play with the Bears in 2023.
One thing, again, I like that the Bears are doing is I'm not sure they're necessarily signing these guys and putting them on their depth chart, on their big board in Sharpies. You know what I mean? Like it's sort of a let's get good players, and then we'll figure out in practices in training camp where they best fit within our schemes. And so I've said this multiple times, and I'll say this again today. I'll be disappointed if this Nate Davis signing immediately results in them releasing Cody Whitehair. I don't think that's necessary. I don't think you need to be in a hurry to make that type of move. You can work these guys in, and as you said earlier, and the Bears coaches say many times, they put the best 5 players out there. But that's sort of what my guess is. It's like, okay, he's a younger version potentially at left guard. If he can make that transition, maybe Tevin Jenkins can move over to the left, for all we know. I'd be a little bit careful about moving him again, or Tevin Jenkins has been dealing with injuries, so it's just good to have three starting caliber options at 2 positions. Again, you look at the linebacker core now, and it's like I think the only downside to them signing Edwards and Edmonds today is everyone's like, well, that's going to take Sanborn off the field. Because if he's your Sam, he's going back to not being on the field quite a bit during the game because you're in nickel so much. And that part sucks because he showed you that he could, but at the same time, it doesn't really suck because it gives you depth. And I go back to something Matt Eberflus said about the Sam linebacker position last year, which was ideally your Sam can be great on special teams and back up both the Mike and the Will. And so I think they're suddenly in that position. And I don't think it's wrong to have that same mentality on your offensive line, to have, 3 starting caliber guards at 2 starting positions, or 3 starting caliber tackles at 2 positions. I mean, that's what good teams have.
Absolutely. And, injuries do happen. So if something were to happen to some of these new linebackers the Bears just got, you feel pretty good about Jack Sanborn going into the game, filling in there if he has to. So the Bears need to become a better football team, and you do that by adding players at the top, which pushes down players that maybe weren't at that level a little bit down. And that just happens to Jack Sanborn a little bit. So I think it's a good situation to be in if you're in the linebacker room. You have young guys. Like last year, there were guys that went down, and you had the Joe Thomases of the world, Matt Adams playing, significant snaps because they had to. And now you have these young, productive linebackers that can go in there. And then obviously, they're going to learn a new defense, but you like what they were doing the years previous and what they could still do in their career. Because, again, they're young and they're fast and they're physical. And I think if Matt Eberflus's hits principles, does what it needs to do from these players, you're going to see them be hopefully the best version of themselves, like what Eberflus was able to get out of his Colts teams when they had better talent around them. And that's what Ryan Poles is slowly doing here, adding better talent, which should equate to hopefully better production on the football field.
Yeah, I love the Edmonds signing. I go back to the word interesting when it comes to Nate Davis, because it is.
We need to see where he's going to play and what that does to Tevin Jenkins or Cody Whitehair. It's an interesting place for the Bears offensive line to be right now.
Do we have more super chats?
We do, and just a quick reminder, thanks for everyone for jumping on here at short notice. We have almost 2,100 people watching.
Wow.
This is out of nothing. We've decided, should we just do a 10-minute recording or just go live?
We went live.
Hit
that subscribe button.
2,100 of you joined us. Thank you so much. Yes, please subscribe. You'll get those noties every time we do this. Please, if you don't mind, hit the like button for us. We like likes. And also, After Dark is coming in 2 hours and 20 minutes, unless you decide to go early. 6:30.
I got to get home.
We'll go to After Dark. So we will have more on this. So this is just a shorty now. This is sort of a little bonus to get the first take on everything here. We do have a couple of super chats to get through here. Stephen Haynes, £5 sterling. Monsters of the Midway, the Bears are back.
That's what Kyle Williams also said, too.
That is right. Alex Ammerling threw us a two spot. King Pole strikes again. Love this signing. Beautiful.
Nice.
David Sevilla.
David, he's from my hometown in Waukegan. Played on the same football team. Let's go,
Okay,
David.
from Walktown. David, $5. Edmonds is certified stud. Nate Davis is a solid pickup. Anyone who helps pave the road for a 2,000-yard rusher has to have upside. Big
true.
dogs gotta eat. King Henry,
point.
of course, he's talking about.
By the way, the new Bears assistant offensive line coach came from Tennessee.
Yeah.
Now, he was the tight ends coach there, but I'm guessing that
Tight ends block.
some type of obvious connection there with Nate Davis.
And Monsi, $9.99. He's back. He says Bears still have enough space to make one more signing for a $20 million a year. Would you guys go for a 3-tech or a tackle? Also, what about bringing Floyd back? Seems like he has a Flus type of build for D end.
Does he
I
have
don't
a
know if he's
Floyd?
big enough.
Yeah.
I mean, he's long enough, but I don't know if he's
2-point
necessarily
stance guy.
strong enough. So I don't know about that. I will say this though. I think they have more than $20 million too. The thing about this that we got to wait for the contracts to come in is depending on how much money you put into these signing bonuses. Remember, that gets spread out over the cap. So just because what's Edmonds coming in? 18 million a year? Is that what we decided?
Was it four for 72? That's
Yeah.
18.
What's that?
That is 18.
So, but there's a difference between APY, which is average per year, and I like that number because it does kind of show where you fall in the pecking order. However, average per year is not necessarily how the contract is constructed. So by putting a lot of bonus money out front in a signing bonus, it actually is not impacting the cap all that much this year or next year, depending on which year you put the base salary in. So that's just something to keep in mind. Not worried at all about salary cap space at this point, and shouldn't be. But as these contracts come out in the next couple of days, the actual details of it, we'll have a better idea of how the cap space goes. Regardless, one of the big discussions about the Bears and having all this cap space was, how do you spend it, right? And I am a big fan of how they've spent it so far, because just look at key points. One is, and I wrote about this in my newsletter last week, you had an underwhelming free agent class. So it's like, who are you going to overpay? And there was a lot of talk about like Mike McGlinchey. And Mike McGlinchey ends up going to Denver and got this huge like $87 million deal, and he's about to be 30, right? Like the guys that they've signed are all 26 or younger, and I'm including DJ Moore in that via trade. We're talking about
long term.
TJ Edwards being the oldest at 26. And so they're all younger. I'm not sure that any of these contracts are outrageous. Maybe Edmonds is the most risky at this point. But, I mean, he's durable and he's
there's still so much
dependable.
potential.
Yeah, he could still be getting
potential.
better. And Riley Bear coming in. Everyone's age gets compared to Velus Jones. I love this. In case any of you are wondering, new Bears linebacker Tremaine Edmonds is 356 days younger than Velus Jones Jr.
Well, yeah. Look, the Bears are a young football team, and now they're adding young, ascending talent. And that, I think, has a lot of people who are watching, who will listen to this, who are in the chat right now, optimistic about maybe where this team is going. And, again, Ryan Poles has always said he wants to try to remain at the top for as long as he can. First, he has to get there, right? But doing so is not overspending in free agency, is getting young talent that you project will be a better fit on your football team or continue on their trajectory that they're currently on. And those are the moves that Ryan Poles is currently making. So if you're feeling optimistic, feeling good about the Bears so far in free agency, hey, it makes sense.
This is from Next Gen Stats. Tremaine Edmonds cashes in after allowing a career-low 4.4 yards per target last season. That's the lowest among linebackers that received a minimum of 30 targets. So we've been talking about how good in coverage he's been. So he had the best mark in the league among linebackers with a career-low 4.4 yards per target. Edmonds will team up with former Eagles linebacker TJ Edwards, who allowed 5.2 yards per target, which was the sixth lowest. So right there, and then they have a follow-up tweet that said the Bears were actually worst in the league last year with an 8.6 yards per target as a unit. So I think that speaks to
they arguably just became the best unit now.
Yeah,
in coverage grades for their linebackers.
Absolutely.
That's a plus.
So a lot to like with this move with Tremaine Edmonds. Also want to mention, and you're seeing it there on your screen as you're watching live on YouTube, our brand new shirt we dropped this morning as free agency went live, brick by brick. We surprised Greg Braggs with it, his very own brick by brick shirt finally. And I would encourage you to check out our CHGO Bears Twitter account. I think we have the clip up now of his reaction as we surprised him with the brick by brick shirt.
I don't know why I was looking at, just our display right here, thinking that the brick was still here.
Right? Oh, yeah, sorry, I removed the brick. I didn't know this was happening. I was starting to clean up and get ready for the next one.
So it's
I thought Braggs took it home.
No, it's over here. It's right over there.
You
want a brick?
Conserve the bricks.
Right there.
No, it's all good. You can also get the hoodie version of that shirt if you are a diehard. That's a CHGO diehard exclusive, the hoodie.
I highly recommend the hoodies.
And another reason to be a diehard is our free agency database, which we've been trying to update frantically all day long with these signings as they've happened, so you can follow along. It's the same database we use internally to keep track of all this, and you have access to it. So that's for you as a CHGO diehard as well. All right.
Yeah, this is crazy. I mean, we just did this out of nothing, and we have 2,500 people watching.
I know. It'd be nice if more news broke right now.
Mike Houston, thank you for going live again. Anna says, exciting moves. Thanks, CHGO crew, for the live stream. You're welcome. This is what we're here for. It's what we do.
The only thing, though, it's like we're probably going to go off, and then more news is going to...
But again, 6:30 tonight, after dark, we are going to cover that. You know, you're going to be stuck with Carm again and his deteriorating voice. But
he was in the chat earlier.
He was in the chat, yes.
At least we won't be in the same room as him again.
Yeah.
Thankfully, we don't have to be in the same room.
Germs don't move over Zoom the same way.
They don't.
Where did
they
he
do it in studio? If you missed our show earlier, though, go back and check it out. The start of free agency, a lot of breakdown on TJ Edwards and all the other news that was flying throughout. We were on for about
over 2 hours.
2 hours,
a little over 2 hours.
Oh my
I think.
God!
So there's plenty of. Go back and check on the podcast. All of these get podcasted. So if you're not able to watch a live YouTube show, you can find it on your phone, in your car, wherever you listen to your podcast, Spotify. Please rate and review. We appreciate it.
Please rate and review with a 5-star rating.
Yes.
Thank you very much. 4
5
stars equals
I
0
feel like
stars.
that's implied, but, you know.
Just in case you didn't know.
Yeah,
A 4-star review is basically a 0-star review.
correct.
Fun fact. Doesn't make any sense to me, but that's how they do it. And make sure you hit like and subscribe if you're new here. Thanks for jumping on as we did this emergency version of the show. We'll be back again 6:30 with CHGO After Dark. And I have a feeling by then there'll be more news. But
Be there to break it down.
we'll talk to you later tonight.